to go? That didn't sound like you're ready to go. Are you ready to go? That sounds like you're ready to go. So I want big, rousing rounds of applause as I bring out our special guest. Are you ready for that? Again, it didn't sound like you're ready for it. Are you ready for that? That sounded like it. So, bring out, first of all, big round of applause for Mr. Trace Beaulieu. And then a big round of applause for Mr. Frank Conniff. And then an awesome capper for Mr. Bill Corbett. So what we're going to do is...
I did it my way.
Save it for the big finale. We're going to be taking questions from you all. There's a mic set up in the center section right up here up front if you want to line up, and we'll start taking your questions.
I like this height. This puts our crotches all at eye height.
It puts our crotches on even keel.
And by the way, I hope you're enjoying the X-ray of me that's coming from these lights.
So we're going to leap right into the questions. So our first question, please state your name and your question.
Hi, my name is Paul.
Hey, Yay, Paul.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just asking if writing on Mystery Science Theater has changed your views of movies that you experienced well before Mystery Science Theater. Like, for instance, are there any movies that in your past, in your youth, you liked a lot, but now you find them that they're not all that great, and vice versa? Are there movies that you watched in the past which you didn't think were all that good, but now you think are great?
I think there's instances of that with me. I don't think it had anything to do with me working on Mystery Science Theater. I think for me, just as I got older, my perception of things changed, and of course things I loved with it when I was a kid, once I became older, maybe I didn't like them as much, or then stuff that I didn't quite understand as much when I was younger, then I grew older and I understood them more and liked them better.
I liked watching movies when we started getting paid to watch them.
I think being on MST3K and Riff Tracks has given me a new appreciation for how difficult it is to do an even passably coherent movie, and then to do a really good movie. Because it's kind of easy to just sort of roll out of bed and do one of the movies we did on MST3K. Mm-hmm. But even some of those took a lot of work and a lot of sincere effort. Not all of them, but some of them. And they just kind of lost their way somewhere. But by the way, I want you to show people who you are dressed as.
I am dressed
the man of the moment. Oh, hi.
Tiny Tim, by people.
He's taking over the, yeah.
So you don't
Gene Simmons from Kiss, everybody.
So you don't want to perhaps, list one movie you liked it in your past you no longer like, and one movie you don't.
What movie has age and experience made you loathe?
Yeah.
Oh, most of them. No. Well, it's like Frank said, I'm not sure whether it's because of the show or not. I used to be a big fan of the 1970 movie Billy Jack. Oh. About the half-breed Indian karate master who loves peace. And then I just outgrew it, because at the time I thought, first of all, it's cool that he's doing karate, and that he, it was my first movie that had some political implications. It was very liberal. And then rewatched it a couple of years ago, and I was like, God, this sucks. It's like, and after you've seen, better martial arts in movies, suddenly his karate looks really lead-footed and stuff. So there's that.
I don't know. I can't think of a movie. I will say, when I was a kid, I literally loved the Man from U.N.C.L.E. TV show, literally more than life itself. It was better than, it was what I lived for, to watch The Man from U.N.C.L.E. every week. I was obsessed with it. And now that I watch it as an adult, it's a really shitty show. It's not that good. And so that's just an example too. And I mentioned that just because of how much I loved. I mean, I loved it so much.
But as a kid, didn't you also do Man from U.N.C.L.E. essentially cosplay? Didn't you have the toys?
Yeah, I had all the toys, and I wanted to be a secret agent when I grew up. And a lot of my career has been quite secretive. But and I was obsessed with James Bond movies at the same time. And the James Bond movies, the Sean Connery ones, are an example of something I loved when I was a kid. And I can watch them now. I can see the flaws in them. I can see the storytelling, weird things, but I still love them just as much.
And Trace, any?
My hatred for Santa Claus Conquers the Martians has only increased over time. I hated it then. I cannot stand that film now. Maybe at some point when I start going downhill and the brain goes, maybe I'll find an appreciation for that. But
Then you will finally be ready to meet Droppo on his level.
yes, the laziest man on Mars.
He really is. He really is the laziest man.
They weren't lying. Yes. No, that's the one for me.
I hope your last word is Droppo.
Droppo? Yeah.
It'll be your rosebud.
I think my last words will be, wipe me. Maybe this weekend.
Well, that brings us to our next question.
Any volunteers, by the way?
I just wondering, how do you think about, like, you guys were early on in nerd comedy or internet humor almost. How you feel like you impacted internet humor, internet culture in some way?
Very, very negatively.
I can look and see that the world is definitely worse because of us. No,
I don't think we're to blame for it. I really don't. I hope we're not.
well, I think that in terms of comedy in the early 90s, there was I think we were part of something that was happening in comedy that also involved The Simpsons and the Larry Sanders Show, and a few other shows I'm sure you could mention, that just that kind of very culturally aware.
Sort
like
of a meta movement.
a little bit of a meta-ness, yeah, and just an awareness of all these things from pop culture that was being incorporated. SCTV, although SCTV came earlier, and they actually were a big influence on me, and I think on Mystery Science Theater, as were Monty Python, and I think that what we were doing and the other shows at that time were kind of a continuation of that, and with maybe more Americanized references and stuff in it.
I thought that was very well said. I will add that I think we were part of the meta commentary, for lack of a better way of putting it. Where I see like maybe the dark side of it is that a lot of comedy, like bad versions of what we're talking about, just offers the references without the jokes. That's where I start to feel like a cranky old man. It's like just by name checking that nerd or geek property, you've achieved comedy. It's, not for me. That's when I feel, like old man Corbett.
Do you think in some ways it's made it harder for people to approach things on a sincere level and accept them on that level, that there's this automatic reaction now to be snarky about a thing or riff on a thing rather than take it in first, digest it, then maybe assess it on a level that is not just initially a knee-jerk reaction to somehow comment on it? So speaking of the negative aspects of how this, because I've certainly heard you guys talk about how, that sort of reaction and how it's difficult to appreciate films and just go to a movie and relax and lean into it, enjoy it just for its own sake.
Well, people always ask
Well,
me-
that's not difficult for me, but it might be difficult for some people. I go to movies a lot, partly because of our podcast, Movie Sign with the Mads, available on iTunes. Thank you very much. And I have no problem with that's like my default is just to sincerely accept a movie and hope that it's great. And then if it's not good, complain about it afterwards,
Or complain about it beforehand in the case of the DC films.
I did do quite a few tweets about how Justice League sucked before I saw it, but the movie thankfully just confirmed what I had already prejudged.
You were just a visionary.
Yes, not hard to be that kind of a visionary.
The cinematic Cassandra, as
Yeah.
well. Next question.
That's his next podcast title, by the way. Hello.
Hi, my
Hi.
name is Denise. I love the reunion show. That was awesome, and I'm so glad that you guys were
Thank you,
brought that back together.
thank Riff Tracks for that.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. So, yeah.
What do you know?
Hey, what do you know? I love all sides. I have a two-part question. First, when you guys are like out with your significant other watching a movie, do you automatically start riffing and like get elbowed?
Oh, hell no.
No.
Absolutely not.
I am really a priss about that. I kind of like Frank. I don't want to go to a movie and dislike it. I sincerely love movies, and I won't seek out stuff that I suspect I won't like unless it's for the job. And so, and I don't like people I don't like when people talk in movies.
Yeah.
I'm an old nanny about that.
Well, I wasn't sure if it was like an automatic.
No. I'm always just watching the movie and hoping that it's be really good. The only riff I'll do during when I go out to see a movie is, excuse me, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. That's the only thing I say during it.
My second part is that when you guys do watch movies for whether it's Riff Tracks, Animatic, Titanic, or Mystery Science Theater, how painful is it to get through the movie the first time?
Very.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
And then it gets more painful with each subsequent viewing because you're watching a movie that you'd rather not watch at all, and you're on your third and fourth viewing of it. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, Frank and I have to be very careful now when we choose a film because we'll live with it for 30 viewings on the road. And fortunately, we've been blessed with like a film like Glenn or Glenda, which is infinitely watchable, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's so warm and has a great message. But other films like the Batman versus Superman that
Yeah.
we did, Riff Tracks invited us to take a shot at.
I'm so sorry. That was really passive aggressive of us.
It's like, here's a lump of cancer. Would you like?
I did say, I don't know if you listened to that, but I did say at one point, why does Riff Tracks hate us?
We hate ourselves just as much.
I have it in my library. I haven't done it yet because
Yeah.
it's just a joke right now. So, but thank you for your sacrifice. It means a lot to all
I just
of
want
us.
to say one thing about that is that I think we've learned that if it is too miserable for us on the first watch, we'll try to find a way to pass on it. Because there are bad movies that are so silly. They're just like Birdemic to me. I can watch that again and again because it is so silly. And
I love Birdemic.
what's that?
I love Birdemic.
Yeah, and some are like that, some aren't, but there are other ones like the Coleman Francis movies and all that where it just feels like you're being punished and I don't know, like, it takes the joy out of it, and we tend to get a little bit whiny during stuff like that, and it's probably not the best look.
Gotcha. Well, I'm hoping for a Jupiter ascending at some point,
Oh, man. Oh,
but
wow.
not to punish you, but for our delight.
No, to punish you.
Jupiter Ascending is the Batman v Superman of its time.
Yeah.
So, but I love you all. Thank you guys
Well, thank
for
you.
everything that you do because you've got me through a lot of bad days and stuff just by making me chuckle. So thank you.
Oh,
for
thanks so
everything.
much.
Thank you.
Very sweet of you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
It's Thor.
It is, no,
Oh, sorry, Loki. My God.
Get off the stage.
Pelted with rocks and garbage.
Total
Get
nerd,
out of our convention, you
total nerd
I'm
faux pas.
imposter.
There's no one behind me, so I'm gonna ask two. I can never decide what I think is worst: Birdemic, The Room, or Manos. Do you guys have one film from either any of the things that you've done that you think is the worst? Like it's just.
Well, out of the three you mentioned, I think The Room is the worst of the three of those. The Room I'm not a fan of. But Birdemic and what was the other one?
Manos.
Well, I'm not really that much of a fan of that one either, but but those films to me are much more watchable than The Room, which
Frank, Gene Simmons is right here with us. It's very awkward for you to be saying that.
which I think is a very misogynistic film, so I don't care for it.
It seems to be getting lost in all the lionization of Tommy Wiseau, and it
Yeah.
really is. It's creepy.
And I haven't seen The Disaster Artist, but I've heard nothing but good things. I hear it's one of the best films made by a sexual predator in a while. So.
The Room is so bad that I haven't seen it based on Frank's hatred for it.
Well, you have to see it. You have to see it.
No, I don't.
I like Birdemic far and away more than the other two. The Room has been good to us, but I can't watch it anymore. And Manos, it always gave me the slight creeps. It was really great fodder for MST3K, but it really does have the feel of a snuff film.
It was The Room of its day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that.
What is the writing process like? How do you even find a film like Manos, and then you guys, like, as you're watching it, do you like, oh, a joke would go good here, and then
Yeah,
how
well,
does that?
I not to brag, but I found Manos. It was just in a box of tapes that came to Mystery Science Theater when I was working. I was like in charge of finding the bad films, and it was just in a box, and I just watched it, and then I said, "Wow," and I brought, "Wow,
Thank you
that's
for
great."
coming.
I loved it.
And they're gone.
That was that 1 second when those lights were off was so great, but and
We
then
all just had a stroke, didn't we?
yeah. And so I showed it to everyone, and they were like, "Yeah, this is really bad. We should do it." Some films just have that vibe where that it'll be appropriate to do, and other films, people ask me all the time, were there movies that were too bad, even for Mystery Science Theater? And yes, most of them. Most of the films I looked at were actually so bad we couldn't even riff them.
Yeah, bad in a really boring way or
Yeah.
technically just untenable. I would take all three of those movies over any Transformers movie, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I really hate. At least there was a little sincere effort, however twisted, with those other ones.
Yeah.
But the ones with Marky Mark are the good ones, right?
Well, yeah, that does redeem it. Yeah.
Could you re-say that comment, and I'll give you $1.5 million?
No, I'm just here to do the work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
When you riffed any movies, did you have any of the actors actually call you out saying, "Why'd you make fun of me so much in this movie?" Because I've heard rumors about Mitchum from back in the day that
Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Mitchum is the antiperspirant,
Yeah.
which Mitchell could have used. Really.
Actually, Jim Mitchum, Robert Mitchum's son, could have played Mitchell. He could have done a credible job. Never had that thought before, and I'm going to try to never have it again.
Yeah, I think that was confirmed that Joe Don Baker, Mitchell, and Geronimo in Final Justice, in my time there, was asked by a fan once, like, what do you think of the MST3K guys? And he basically said, I want to kick their ass. But he's now older and slower, so he probably won't. You should come to, if you're still here tomorrow, we're doing a panel about sort of forgotten movies that we like. I don't know how to describe, but it's called Real Crime.
Yeah, criminally overlooked films. And this is, they each choose one film and present a scene to make their case for why you should check the film out. And then the other panelists get to pick a scene from the film to say, you're right, or no, this is an awful film. Why are you choosing this film?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful discussion and celebration of perhaps overlooked films.
Well, I just wanted to say that because Joe Don Baker's best performance is in the movie that I am showing tomorrow.
Not to spoil anything.
Not to spoil anything. But that's the only one I can think of. Otherwise, people have either been good sports or ignored us or, frankly, have been dead. So,
That helps a lot.
yeah.
As a follow-up, how many personal encounters have you had with stars, directors, producers of the films you've done?
We've had a few. I worked with Robbie Benson on Sabrina.
The Robbie Benson?
The Robbie Benson.
Robbie Ice Castles Benson?
Ice Castles and City Limits Benson, which we did, and he directed some Sabrina episodes. So I was a writer on that, and he was really nice and thought it was really funny. Trace and we met Tia Carrere one time.
We waved at Tia Carrera
Yeah.
one time.
No, she waved back, and she
Yes,
said hi.
that confirms that
And
she saw us.
She
but
did. She talked to us.
She said hi.
She said hi.
This has been going on for
And she
years.
said she liked what we did with her film, even though I don't think I was part of that riff. But so we met her, and Trace is good friends with Kim Cattrall, who we riffed
City
on.
Limits, yeah.
And there's a few, like Miles O'Keefe called in and said he really liked Beverly Garland, who I adore. I loved her when I was a kid on My Three Sons.
Oh, yeah.
She
Richard
was-
Keel, remember?
Yeah,
we met him?
Richard Keel.
And he was great on My Three Sons.
Did he replace Bob, or did
He
he
was
come
the
in?
grotesque giant
He
son.
was the first Steve that we never saw. They kept him in the attic.
Well, if you people were old, you'd be loving this shit. So yeah, we have encounters, almost all of them positive.
Mostly really good sports about
Yeah.
it. We did Starship Troopers for one of our Fathom shows, and I met Casper Van Dien and Dina Meyer and everybody at Dragon Con, and they couldn't have been sweeter about it. So, they're
Casper the Friendly Star.
Casper, the friendly star.
Aren't they up to like number 4 in that series now?
Yeah, I lost count.
They're all direct to video.
Yeah.
Doesn't make them bad.
No, it doesn't, but that's...
Doesn't
they
make
are.
them good either. But
Do you guys want in on this conversation, or? 'Cause
Next question.
Hi, I have a question for each of you, if that's okay.
Sure.
First of all, Trace, are you okay?
yes, I'm fine.
Okay.
This is repetitive stress injury from flipping off Trump supporters.
All right.
I loved Other Space,
Oh, cool.
and
Thank
it was a thrill to see you and Joel working together again. I know Paul Feig wanted to somehow bring it back. Is there any news regarding that at all?
You know, it's a hard thing to get a show sold, even though you've done, what was it, 8 episodes?
Yes.
And if anyone could do it, would be Paul, because he's got some swing in Hollywood. But I don't really know. He said he would do a second season if he had to shoot it on his iPhone,
I would watch that.
which kind of sounds sad to me. But
It implies
but-
that he can't find an iPhone.
yeah. Interesting fact, though, the Joel role, that was originally going to be Dave Gruber Allen, who Mr. Rosso from Freaks and Geeks, and
which you were on, yes.
but he couldn't do it, and then Joel stepped in, and then we are robot pal and space janitor again. So hopefully it'll come back. I don't know.
It's also a hard cast to reassemble, considering all the
right.
projects that everyone's gone on to, and meeting your quote.
Well, yeah, my quote is like, will you do it? Yes. But yeah, everyone's moved on, and Karen is in the Deadpool film. He's got a bigger role. He's the cab driver in Deadpool. Right. And aren't they making Squirrel Girl?
Yes. The
with-
Squirrel series with...
my very
She's
good
your
friend.
castmate.
My very good friend who's going to be in Squirrel Girl.
That's perfect.
And so everyone's, how do you, and they bulldozed the sets and,
Well, if Arrested Development can do it, then you guys can do it.
wow, there's a
That's a
bar.
good point.
That's,
Other Space in the Banana Stand.
what?
It's a reference to a show called Arrested Development. You might enjoy it.
I have seen only the bit that I did. I only care about me.
The Trace Beaulieu story.
I like your costume, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, is that the John Hurt version of that character from Alien or Spaceballs?
This is John Hurt. Definitely John Hurt.
But is it the reprise in Spaceballs? Because
No,
I have
no,
to
no.
ask if
It's Alien.
Okay. Just wanna
But
make
for the
sure.
kids, it's Spaceball. Because they don't know Alien.
For the kids and Mel Brooks, it's Spaceballs.
Frank, I know that you were head writer for Vader Zim.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you're involved in the new movie.
No,
no.
I'm not involved. And but I'm sure it's going to be great. I think the reason that show was as good as it was mainly because of Joan and Vasquez, and the artists and animators and designers who worked on it were amazing.
And the writer.
And well, I mean, I was one of the writers, and so I think it's going to be great. And also, I heard that another show I worked on, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, they're doing like an hour-long horror reboot of it with, I'm blanking on her name, the girl who played the daughter on Mad Men is going to be the new,
Kieran Shipka?
they're going to be the new Sabrina, and that's like such an awesome casting choice. So I'm not going to be part of that, but I'm looking forward to watching it.
I hear they're doing a season 2 of the new MST that you're not involved with as well.
I guess if I was involved with it once, it just means I'm never going to be involved with it again. But thanks for making that awkward, Trace. I appreciate that.
This is the place to share our bitterness. We're among friends here.
And Bill, I know that you and Kevin and Mary Jo were both in the new season of MST, but not Mike. So I don't want to start anything.
I don't know. Did you see him?
No, I didn't see him, but is there any animosity between Mike and Joel?
If there was, I wouldn't say.
Oh, come on.
No.
Nobody here has
You,
a
my
boner.
psychiatrist. Say it, Bill. Say it.
All right, I just want to know that everything's okay.
You know what?
Maybe Mike will show up soon.
That he just gave you an answer, so.
Yes. All right, thank you so
To
much.
MST Dish with Bill Corbett.
In a very
You
white...
couldn't ask something about my career. It had to be about catty politics between the two blonde guys. Thanks
Well, thank you
anyway.
very much.
Bye, John Hurt.
Good questions. Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Not mine.
My question concerns Mystery Science Theater fans in general. You have any memorable fan letters, correspondences you received from fans over the years? Are you surprised to find fans from countries all over the world? Any memorable personal items you've autographed for fans, and memorable cosplay of either the characters from Mystery Science
There's a
Theater
lot of fishing going on right now.
or even the
Well, you know what? As far as cosplay goes, at Dragon Con this past year, and I posted the picture on Twitter, someone came dressed as Jan in the Pan, the woman with her severed head, in a plate, and it was incredibly convincing, and it was amazing cosplay.
Pretty
I was really
ingenious. They would sort of push her around, and she was in like a little buggy underneath.
Yeah. Really well
Really
done.
cool.
That was great, and I know that back, we don't get letters anymore, because nobody writes letters anymore. Everybody writes, in the past, we did get someone, did someone send their teeth or something like that?
Someone sent their toenails.
Their toenails.
Yes, a box of toenails, and Sarah, the receptionist, got the box, and it said toenails on it. She shook it. It sounded like toenails, and she opened it anyway. And it was toenails.
It turned out to be toenails.
Yeah. But now with the internet, people don't send toenails anymore.
Yeah, digital toenails are a lot easier to take.
I got a full Tom Baker Doctor Who scarf once from a fan out of the blue. Just said to Bill Corbett, aka Crow, and I did not know Doctor Who at the time, so I just thought, what a nice scarf. What a nice, unreasonably long scarf. And I wore it for one of our Christmas live shows, just thinking, what a nice big scarf. And people are going, why were you Tom Baker? What was the Doctor Who thing? It's like, oh, nerds, I forgot.
Are there any memorable personal items you've autographed
No,
for fans?
no,
It
nope,
stuck out?
nope, none of them.
Nothing stuck out that I would sign.
Mostly body parts, which I don't do anymore, because
We've seen some really cool tattoos. A lot of really well done. Last night in the bar we saw one.
And by the way, our fans are, in general, really great people to meet. And
yeah, you should meet them. They're really cool people.
I say that very sincerely. I love, we Trace and I travel around and do this stuff with Bill and cons and stuff at the Riff Track shows. It's always delightful to meet our fans.
Yeah, you guys have kept us alive.
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't be doing this 30 years on. Are we close to 30 years?
Yeah.
Something like that? Without you guys supporting us and coming out and seeing us, we really appreciate it because we are very lonely people.
Who do not like to leave their homes.
Yes, yes.
Well, everybody seemed a little shy, so I came back up. For Riff Tracks, is the Five Doctors going to be coming out available?
We hope so, but BBC is it's a very tight ship that doesn't really want to do that. And if it is going to happen, it's still like in process in some bureaucracy in London right now. So we're hoping so, but if not, we'll probably do just like an MP3 commentary.
Gotcha. And just to do a little bit of a brag, you guys did Devilfish as Mystery Science Theater.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's filmed in Florida.
yes, and the scientist, the bad guy who gets shot and has the long death,
Yep.
he's actually one of my dad's best friends. And I didn't even realize that he was even in it until I watched it.
Is that right?
Yeah, Timothy Hawkins, and I just...
What's he doing these days?
He's in Plantation.
Not getting shot, I hope?
Not getting shot, no. But he lives in Plantation. He actually sings as well and stuff. And just,
He's here today, Bill.
Damn you, Corbett! No. Was he an actor, or is he just like slumming it?
No, well, I don't think he's been acting for a bit, but he had little bit parts in Miami Vice and stuff, some local stuff and everything. But he'd come over to the house and sing with my dad and stuff like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that was like a squeal moment when I saw him pop up on screen, so that was cool. So.
Did you know the guy whose testicles we saw from the shot underneath it?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Also used to sing songs, just come over with...
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you.
Anyway, all right, thank you. Sorry I said the word testicles. It didn't play well in this room. I'm feeling bad about it now.
Hi, one of my favorite Mystery Science 3000 shorts is the Gumby episode, and you don't do that much animation. I was wondering why, and I have a suggestion. It's the Christmas tree is worse than Santa versus the Martian, like 10 times worse.
The Christmas tree, it's called?
Yeah, something like that. It's like this horrible animated movie.
Oh.
It's the worst thing you'll ever see.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, we don't do much animation, although Frank has a whole show based on
Yeah, I do a show called Cartooned Up where I riff really crappy animated Saturday morning cartoons. And we do a couple of them. Sometimes Trace and I will riff them at our shows. There's one called Mighty Mr. Titan, which is just a really poorly animated character trying to get kids to exercise. And there's another one called The Cautious Twins that is the most horrifying thing ever.
That was a great one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and so sometimes I think at Gumby was the only time they did or maybe in the first student at KTMA you did like the.
We did Super Marionation.
Yeah.
But that's puppet on puppet riffing, and that just doesn't work.
Thank you.
and it's not legal in a lot of states.
Yeah.
I will say that we have done a bunch of shorts that are animated. We just did released one for Christmas called, I kid you not, Spunky the Snowman. So you can kind of guess what most of the jokes were about.
Is there any current mainstream TV series you'd all like to go after?
Did you riff on?
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of current TV series. The ones that I do watch are ones that I really like. So the really bad ones, I'm not aware of them.
We've done quite a few older films, like when we work with the Master Pancake Group in Austin. We just did who's the detective and he builds stuff, MacGyver, and those are fun. Those older '80s film, but they're just wide open for riffing.
Okay, thanks.
I can't think of MacGyver now without Patty and Selma's voices coming into my head.
Yeah, it's MacGyver. Horribly made shows.
Hey, great
Look at that. Yeah. Very cool.
nice.
Jonah, you've changed.
I believe the word is regenerated.
Okay, yeah.
So you guys have a lot more freedom with this now, with Riff Tracks and the podcast, but I was wondering if there were any movies you wanted to go after during the original run of the show that, for be it rights reasons or whatever, you weren't able to?
Yeah, there were a few. There was an Elvis movie called Charo, that we wanted to do, and then what was the company that owned that? I forget.
A little company called Disney. I don't know if they're around anymore.
Plucky little mom and pop company.
We couldn't get the rights, and then we wanted. It's like we kind of got faked out a few times where movies were presented to us, and then we couldn't get the rights. The John Travolta, Lily Tomlin love story. Yes, that's an actual thing called
Moment by Moment.
Moment by Moment. We thought maybe we were going to get to do that, and then we didn't do it. And ultimately, I'm glad we didn't do it because I'm such a huge Lily Tomlin fan that I really don't want to riff on, even if she is making love to John Travolta.
Hard to imagine.
Yeah.
But I just did. God damn it. I don't think there's any. Like the ones that get away from us, because we.
You can do whatever you want.
Well, yeah, we, solved the problem, I guess is one way of saying, or created a new problem. I'm not sure which, by doing MP3 commentaries. The ones that are tougher for us are like the 80s movies that I really want to do. Like we did the Sylvester Stallone arm wrestling one, Over the Top. And that was really fun, but it either has to be something that people can rent or get easily, and Over the Top is not that, or have in their library, or it has to be something we can just show the whole movie, like an old.
I saw just a part of Over the Top on cable recently, and did he ever resolve his relationship with his son?
I think they feel a little better about each other.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. I was worried about
didn't see that coming, but yeah. I love the fact that Robert Loggia in it, who's the bad guy, alternately calls the Sylvester Stallone character Hawk and Hawks. Like that's his name. He's like Hawk the trucker, but they never decided in the movie whether his name was Hawk or Hawks. So to me, that's funny, is what I'm saying.
Sometimes when a film script doesn't go to a second draft, there are problems.
So they actually perform the typos.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I have a question about, I'll interject while we're waiting for, come on, you have them in front of you. More questions, folks. The writing process, how it's evolved compared to the Mystery Science days, and then for Trace and Frank, how you write now for the Mads tour that they're on. If they come to your town, go see them live. They're touring the U.S.
We'll be in San Antonio next weekend, and a little town called New York. Brooklyn and Yonkers, to be more specific, the week after that. So please drive up.
And then also how the Riff Tracks writing process works. So let's go back to the Mystery Science and how that writing process was first.
Do we have to? No, I'm kidding.
Go back, if you will.
Well, the Mystery Science Theater was what we in the business call gang writing, which is all the writers in a room together, riffing the movie together, watching it, yelling out riffs. Someone would type in the riffs, and then doing it a second day, yelling out the riffs. Someone types it in, and then a few of us going off and editing the scripts and assigning the lines to different characters, and then rehearsing it, and then rewriting it as we rehearsed it, filming it, rewriting it as we were filming it, editing it, rewriting it as we were editing it, so it was a whole thing. But with Trace and I, we write our riffs separately, and then because we live in different cities, and then we get together when it's a new film, we get together and go through it, and just kind of get a feel for it. And then it really kind of evolves mostly when we do it live, right?
Yeah, it's a very organic process now for us, and we keep it very organic and a lot of room for improvisation, even though we've got the basic script structure down, so we rely on that. But every show is different. Every show is unique, and you must see every show. So please drive to wherever we are.
And Bill?
Yeah, it's a similar for us at Riff Tracks. It has evolved from that MST3K writer's room with the many layers that Frank has described. And that was really fun. I do miss, admittedly, the energy of just hanging out and watching the movie for the first time and blurting out. But in my opinion, it wasn't really the most efficient way to write that, because so many of the jokes were just, just cuttable, like right out of the gate. So we do something similar now, where we each take a section and write it, and then we get together and mash it all and edit. But it actually seems to work a little better, even if it's a little lonelier in the first part of it.
Yeah, it tends to be more focused first draft, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not as fun, as you mentioned. I really do miss sitting in a room with all our friends and having a great time. And the reunions that we have done with you guys have been such great fun, because we just fall right back into it with Mary Jo and Bill and Kevin and Mike. And please have us do more.
And I in general miss, because I've worked on different TV shows that had writing rooms, and I miss writing rooms in general. I haven't been in that situation in a long time, and I really enjoyed it on Mystery Science Theater, and I enjoyed it on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and the Drew Carey Show, and a few other shows that I worked on that was all people just around a conference table, and I always really enjoyed just being in a room with other writers is something I really dig.
I enjoy it, and I have to say there is something disciplining about it, as opposed to being like self-directed at home and having to like do your coffee and then sit down at your desk. I like being accountable to other people in real time.
Well, and reacting too, because you might have a joke that's not hugely great, but someone else will build on it, and by the end it goes around the horn, and you got a fantastic joke.
Yeah,
and I miss that interaction, because I'm basically a hermit, and I need to be around people occasionally.
This is another cry to you, Bill, to have them back on to do something.
No, I think it's a cry for them to visit Trace's house, for the audience to just drop by and say hello to Trace. And
go fishing.
It has happened.
He'd appreciate it.
It's a little startling.
Another question?
Ignore the shotgun blasts at first. Sorry.
No, I was wondering, every time you guys do a Riff Tracks live show, you have like a really cool set design that incorporates some component. Do you guys come up with that, or do you guys just hire someone to kind of watch the...
We work with a production company in Nashville called Camp Digital, and Fathom Events hooked us up with them when we did our first show in 2009, the Plan 9 from Outer Space. And our relationship with them has been great. So they recommended the theater that we go to, the Belcourt in Nashville. It's why we go to Nashville all the time, because their really large operation is down there, and it's easy to send 3 bow hunks down to them than to have like 25 people come up to us. So they take care of that. They send us proposals for the design, and we give our ideas. But they have a couple of good set designers we're very lucky to have.
Are you planning on doing a Kickstarter again this year?
I'm not sure. I'd love to avoid it, but...
Oh, but you're going to do some Fathom Events stuff live.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There definitely will be.
We'll
see.
Let's do a GoFundMe to support their Kickstarter.
It's already in my Patreon. I don't know.
So during the MST 3K times, when you guys did the invention exchange, were there any inventions that you really wish were real?
A lot of them have become real.
There was one we did that was the outdoor treadmill, which was a treadmill which, as you know, simulates walking. And then our idea, which we thought was a funny idea, a silly idea, was a treadmill that you can go outside and walk on the treadmill out. Someone has that for real now. People sent me the link. That's like a real thing. So we didn't realize we were sitting on top of a fortune with some of this stuff that we thought was just a joke.
I tried to make Chinderware a thing for a while, and I got in trouble with my neighbors.
There's a couple episodes of Mystery Science Theater 3000 that are just kind of synonymous with the show, like Mono's Hands of Fate, one in particular. Is there any episodes that people love? Like, is even that one that you, after you made it and it got such a big reaction from fans that you were surprised? You're like, oh, you guys like that one? Or do you know which ones are going to be?
Yeah, it is. I find it is usually a surprise what catches on. The one that really surprised me that caught on, and it became one of our most iconic episodes was the aforementioned Mitchell with Joe Don Baker, because that wasn't in the genre. You know, we did mostly sci-fi films, horror films. This was like a detective film, and you know, there's just something in these films, the characters or whatever. Like in Manos, it's Torgo. In Mitchell, it's Mitchell. You know, that the audience, and what's the one from the sci-fi era, Roused?
Oh, Rousdower, yeah.
Yeah, that just people just latch onto, and it becomes, they become iconic. But it's not anything that we can ever plan on or figure out that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I kind of disagree about Mitchell, though. I think that is sci-fi. The fact that he's a cop is highly...
And that he's considered sexually attractive.
Yes, yeah. Everyone in that is blind. They all have the they live glasses on when they're around Mitchell.
I agree with Frank. I don't seem to have a feel for what is going to be more popular. One I really did call, though, was Space Mutiny, just because it was so chocked full of great stuff, including the dead woman who is murdered in one scene and then is in the background of the next scene by accident. It was just too good to be true. But the Rousdower one, I thought it was going to be like, but something about that husky Canadian alcoholic just captured our hearts.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hi there.
Hey,
So
great outfit, by the way.
Thank you. So my dad is trying to get me to watch a bunch of TV shows and movies from back when he was growing up as a child and going through college. I've gone through a few of them. HR Puff and stuff was just downright traumatizing.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
So your dad wants you to take drugs? Is that the thing?
He does not want me to take drugs, to my knowledge. And one of the other shows he's recommended for me was MST3K, and so I just
Was that traumatizing as well?
I haven't started yet, so I want to ask what you would say to a person who's about to watch some of the original seasons of the show. What to expect, or any recommendations for particularly good movies that you riff.
Oh, wow.
That might be a question for the audience. What if you have favorites?
agree.
Where do you start? Where's the entryway into the show? Pod people.
Pod people.
Especially pod people because of the era we're living in, because the main character is Trumpy. Trumpy, you can do racist things.
So once he's downed pod people, what's the chaser?
I think Manos is pretty.
It's iconic.
It's a pretty iconic one, and Frank is right. He pretty much put it on the map through MST3K, and that was the power of that show. Kind of, demonstrated.
It's like discovering the film version of the Zika virus.
So that's pretty enticing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Film Zika.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's essentially the exact same thing as HR Puff and stuff.
Brilliant. I can't wait to watch it at 3 in the morning.
Well, I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy it.
Afterwards.
Hope you enjoy it. Thank
Please
you so
watch
much.
it in that costume. I think that
I do more stuff than I want to admit in this costume.
Wow.
We all do.
Fair enough.
You haven't seen Manos yet. You have not done worse stuff.
I'll watch Manos in this costume just for you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Boy, that's the ultimate tribute.
Is it, Ken?
I guess we'll all have to wait and see. We have time for one more question. Do we have one person that has some really, really good closer question for the most amazing, wonderful guests to be here this weekend? None?
Mr. Eric Estrada. We will pass it on to Eric.
Oh, okay. Well, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to say that we're going to do our lovely wrap-up of all the things that you have coming out and are doing that people should partake of, including the fact that you guys are down on the Walk of Fame right now. They can go get their...
We're very down with it. Thanks for being so street. Yeah.
I'm happy.
Huggy Ken.
Frank has some wonderful books that he's written that are down at the table that are amazing.
I have
and
3
fun.
books. My 3 tomes, as we say, that I've written. One is called 25 Mystery Science Theater Films That Changed My Life in No Way Whatsoever. That is very silly essays based around some of the films we did. I have another book you might have read about when my cat sued me and it was taken to court. There's a book, Cats v. Conniff, that I wrote about that case. And then I have another book that's called How to Write Cheesy Movies, which is the only screenwriting guide you'll never need. It's another very silly kind of parody of screenwriting instruction books. So and we have pictures and stuff like that, right?
Yes, and if you, a wonderful book. If you want to have give a gift to a child in your life, Trace has one of the best children's books you'll ever traumatize a child with.
It's called Silly Rhymes for Belligerent Children, and it's a very quick read. Artist Len Peralta, who's worked with all of us, did the illustrations.
All of our books up here, I think, have Len Peralta.
Yeah, Bill has a graphic novel.
Yeah, I wrote it a couple of years ago with Len, who is an incredibly talented artist, and it's called Superpowered Revenge Christmas. So for Christmas is coming up, it's really not very soon at all.
Thank God.
So shop now, and it's basically the iconic Christmas characters that you know from TV and elsewhere turned into retconned into superheroes. It's very silly.
So I hope you all go down, see them on the floor. Tomorrow, again, we have an incredibly enjoyable, fun panel, Real Crime, that I hope you come out for. I think it's tomorrow morning. That sounds right. Check your schedules.
11, I think.
Please come out for it. But for right now, a big round of applause for Mr. Bill Corbett. Mr.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Trace Beaulieu.
Thank you. And Ken Plume, our lovely host.
Thank you very much, everybody. Goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey guys, we hope you liked that video, and we hope to see you at the next Florida SuperCon, which, by the way, is July 12th through the 15th at the Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention Center. You can get tickets by clicking right here. It's that easy. Click here to see some more great videos, and click here to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.